BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hi everyone, Spray and Ease entrepreneur Tom from near Glasgow here. It is an absolute honour to be asked by Crouchy and my boys to read out the language warning for the show. The following podcast will contain strong language and adult themes. Probably not as strong as my language when my dragon started tweeting about Spray and Ease though. Enjoy.
Crouchy P on the MIC. We're doing this not for free, we're doing it for the massive.
Got to bash out a quick Mike Dean slaughters chickens in the local park.
Was it David or was it David?
No, not that phrase. the one that David said to you.
I don't want to do that.
That's why I've asked you the question.
Pancake. Pancake.
Who is the pancake of the Premier League?
That should be on the start, I reckon. Everyone's got a Fernando Torres. Hello and welcome to That Peter Crouch podcast with me, Peter Crouch, Chris Fordyce. Oh, imagine.
It's my dad's name.
Hang on a second. Imagine we bred Tom. Like, what human would that be?
What's a better name, Tom Stark or Chris Fordyce?
Tom Stark.
Tom Stark's going places. He's going to have a great life, isn't he?
I'd like to think so.
But anyway, yeah, breeding aside, how are you boys?
I completely messed up the start of the podcast, but we've just carried on as normal.
Yeah, I think we move on. You know, we carry on. Right. We keep going. We shall not slip again.
Talking of slips, though, Chris, can you give me and Crouchy an update, please? We're obviously quite concerned after you seemed to injure your foot in an attempted pancake last week.
Yeah, so the receptionist for the doctors called, said, we've got your x-rays back. I've been told to tell you you've got a fractured talus bone. Someone will be in touch over the next few days.
I don't know the talus bone.
It's it's the ankle, I believe.
They didn't give you any advice on how to treat it.
No, this is it. It doesn't work like that outside of football.
Yeah,
it's the issue that the receptionist doesn't know you're in football.
Well, exactly. That's exactly the problem now.
Well, Chris, because this episode is all about club staff, I'm sure we're going to talk about physios anyway. So there might be a little bit of chat for you in there that would help with your broken tail. And certainly, Crouchy, we can find out what happens. Let's say an actual footballer, with all due respect, Chris, what happens when an actual footballer injures himself on the pitch? What really goes on?
Yeah, Tom from near Glasgow. Great to hear him on a swear warning. He's got a question for us later. I just wanted to touch on Spray and A's. That's gone nuts.
It's gone ridiculous, Chris, hasn't it? So we were contacted, all three of us, on social media by, how can we put this, one of the big sauce manufacturers. Very, very keen to roll this out. And then there was a series of follow-up texts from retailers who were very keen to stock Spray and A's.
We're all seeing the joke in this, right? We start talking about Spray and A's on the podcast, and then suddenly the Dragons are tweeting about it. Supermarkets are talking about it. It's insane.
But I knew it was a top idea.
Yeah, Tom from near Glasgow, his idea. Like, how mad must this be for him? It's
awesome,
going off.
Mate. I knew the minute I heard that one, I thought, you know what, that's going to take off. And I think our mission is to get it out there.
I think it could become reality.
It's so good. I love this sort of thing. It's the best thing about this podcast. Like, if we can somehow get Spray and A's to happen, it'd be amazing. There's stuff that really makes me smile as well is I saw this artwork that someone had done on social, and it had so many bits of the podcast in the cartoon.
Oh my God,
it was a visualization, wasn't it, of our previous episode, Chris? It had Mr. Kellogg, cornflakes. It had the picture
Capello's
of Crouchy scoring a goal with Capello's eyes and glasses on the wall.
But it had everything in it. It had Spray and A's. It had all sorts. Picture of Crouchy in there. I've just found it again. It's by someone called Sicko Creative on Twitter and Insta. And I think it's just like, I just love seeing how people have been so creative with stuff with this podcast.
And I think the lovely thing about Spray and A's is that it's going to make ordinary mayonnaise, which has been around for, 200, 300 years, it's going to render it obsolete. You're going to go around to someone's house and you're going, have you got any Spray and A's? And they'll go, well, I've got mayonnaise. And you go, no.
Yeah. Nah.
No.
No, mate. How boring is that?
Yeah. Also, I actually think this solves a problem for like Mackey's, right? I've noticed this with the drive-through. You always have to ask for the ketchup. It's really weird. And then they'll give you 3 of them.
Yeah.
Spray and A's, it's just going to be a hand out the window, isn't it? And a little spray.
Well, they're just going to go, open your burger up.
Yeah, exactly. But then the drive-through as well, there's always a spare window, isn't there?
Mm.
I think what they do is should give you the order at the second window, then sprayonnaise in the third window.
If you're rushing it, you're going to get sprayonnaise on top of your hand or the top of the burger.
I mean, they could do it as you're still rolling. Do you know what I mean? Like, as you're still rolling, they can just go, as you know, you didn't have to stop.
Yeah.
Tom, any updates on the fantasy football forfeits?
Here's a few. Here's a message from James. Whoever finishes bottom has to fully recreate a music video of the victor's choosing.
Oh, I like this a lot. I really would enjoy this. What about Eric Prydz? Remember that one?
Yeah, that's a great one. Call on me.
On me.
I'm surprised you've not done that in the physio room.
You know what else would be good? You know, if you did Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares, and you've got to for 2.5 minutes, you've got to be so in character. You've got to be so upset.
You'd need, I think, to get that one right as a footballer, you'd need someone who had a similar shaved head to Sinead at that time. I don't know if someone like Ryan Shawcross could do it.
Shawcross singing Nothing Compares to You. Right. Seriously, for 2.5 minutes.
Let's discuss that, please. Is that doable? Is that something that we
actually, you know him. Could you drop him a text for us?
So Shawcross does what we want. He then gets to decide what you do. Because that might motivate him more.
It's like, I've got to go upstairs and tell Ab, how did you get on? And he'll say, yeah, it went great. I've got to get Ryan Shawcross to do Nothing Compares to You. For 2.5 minutes.
Isn't that the best thing about this podcast? Those moments that never would have happened in the world. When I was at Crouch Fest and I looked to my right and watched Catherine Jenkins doing the Champions League theme, I was just like, this wouldn't have happened without the podcast. Does there need to be a reason? Is what I'm saying. Because you've now put the idea in our heads and it exists and it has to happen.
It has to happen.
Otherwise, it remains unfulfilled.
I've got to reach out to Ryan Shawcross. I'm going to have to put it to him, aren't I, now?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll say, look, Ryan, I know, you've just signed for a new team and you're probably busy and stuff at the moment, but would you mind filming a Sinead O'Connor video?
It doesn't even need to be the full song. Even if it's just a minute and a half.
A minute, heartfelt.
First verse, first chorus, and the tear.
It's been so lonely without you here. Fuck's sake. Can we move on, please?
Chris, I just feel that we're going to need a little bit more to push this across the line. So I don't know if we should suggest, Chris, that people listening to this could maybe just get in contact with Ryan on social media. Actually, you're going to send a message imminently. If people if they want to see this happen, Chris, maybe they could just give Ryan Shawcross a little nudge.
I think in this instance, the problem is now the idea it exists, and it's going to be really frustrating until the point that he does perform. So we just got to make it happen, and we can all do this. You're right, Tom. Maybe if we all just send him a little message on social media, he will succumb.
Do you know? I think Ryan is not on any social media. I think he's I don't think.
Oh, is he not? I thought.
Yeah.
What club's he at? Can we not just tweet that football club?
Inter Miami.
Well, they're very active on social media. So perhaps what we should do is, if people can tweet at Inter Miami CF, and then I think if we can put some gentle pressure on the club will then try and persuade Shawcross. Oh God, they're going to do a proper job of this. I can feel it coming.
I feel like they could be into it.
Oh, this is exciting! Brilliant. Right. What else are we talking about?
Let's stop talking about Ryan Shawcross performing Sinead O'Connor's Nothing Compares to You, and let's talk about Deborah Meaden on Dragon's Den, Chris.
Yeah.
From Shawcross to Nothing Compares to You. Tom, can you just update everyone on Dragon's Den? It's a football podcast.
Just a quick Dragon's Den update.
Right, we got...
Yeah, there is a lot going on with this podcast, we should point out. If you're listening for the first time, welcome along.
Here's a sport podcast. Let's get into this. a Dragon's Den. Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah, maybe you've seen our billboard in Blackpool, and this is the first episode you tuned into. Welcome along. So we recently had a dragon on the podcast, Deborah Meaden, you know her, and and what we're doing is we're just sending ideas that could potentially earn some money, and loads of you have got in touch.
It doesn't make. When you try and explain it, it makes no sense.
God, no sense. I don't know how we got into it.
So loads of you have been in touch. We've had some good ideas so far. We've had some bad ideas. Our favourites so far include an app where you chat to other people whilst you're on the toilet, and also a polite and a polite car horn. And a polite car horn. And also last podcast, very excited at the idea.
I got the giggles now.
On the last podcast, we got very excited at the idea of spray and naze. So anyway,
played for England. I'm talking about spray and naze.
Yeah, so keep your emails coming in on this one. This one's from Chris. So it's my idea is called the finger ringer, and it's basically a little bell you wear. Oh, I suppose finger ringer, and it's basically a little bell you wear when you're running to let people in front know to move out the way.
I feel like cows have already invented this. You know,
Did the cows invent it or the farmer?
Well, you know, the farmer for the cow. You know, so like they've got the bell on, haven't they?
So it's a no probably from that one, Chris. Joel's got in touch, says, my product is a set of gum shield mouth guards that you put over your teeth with a brush over each tooth that cleans them for you. Keep conveniently in a case on your bedside table. Great for when you're comfy in bed. Only to remember you've not brushed your teeth.
I mean, you've still got to spit the toothpaste out, haven't you?
I feel like this is going to be expensive if they're individually brushing each tooth whilst you're all, in bed.
Okay, yeah, not getting too many positive vibes about that one, Joel. Sorry. What about this one from Tom? Says, we've all experienced how crap it is trying to find a film or series to watch with your partner. I agree, it's the worst. My app idea is to list 5 films that you both enjoyed, and the app would give you suggestions of what to watch. I believe this would save lots of relationships, and you could use the app to pass the pod. Call it Peter's Proposals with Crouchy as the icon.
Yeah, I do get this, because when you get into bed and you want something on straight away, but you haven't picked it.
I've got an idea on this. I'm not sure if this existed and therefore I'm robbing someone else's idea, or it was one that I dreamt about or someone told me about, but it's in the back of my head. And it's that all day long, you have a sort of Tinder-style app with TV shows where you swipe left or right as to whether you'd watch them. Your partner has the same. And then when it comes to choosing a show, you've already chosen it.
Oh, that works. Because you go, right, I like it, you like it. We've both liked it. It's a match.
It's been decided before bed, yeah.
Yeah, that could work. So even when you got, spare 5 minutes, you get on Netflix Tinder, your likes when they're matched up with your missus.
Exactly.
You then you watch that.
Yeah.
That works. That's good.
This feels like it feels superior to the previous 2 ideas we've had, Chris, today.
Get in touch, even if it's a crap idea, because, we can then brainstorm it here.
No shit book.
Yeah.
Oh, I lost it there. That was funny, that.
It's phrases that didn't exist before we sat down this evening.
Yeah, like Shaw crossed, nothing compares to and then the way you just threw it over to Dragon's Den. Crouch
going for the spectacular! Oh, what a goal from Peter Crouch!
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Chris, we've both got a dream, haven't we? Which is where you, Crouchy, take over at a football club and you utilise that position of power to somehow get me and Chris involved. The question is, Chris, what role we could get away with and what roles there are. Now, the first one that I'm thinking of that both of us could maybe have a stab at, Chris, is press officer.
Yeah, I think this is the big plan here, Crouchy. We treat you as a kind of Trojan horse. So you become the manager of England at some point. We'll be with you the whole journey. And I'm happy to be press officer. I take it that's quite an easy job to do.
Yeah, you can be a bit of a ball ache for the players. it can be like pulling teeth, getting players to do things for you as a press officer. With England as well, especially, I always remember there's a few press officers with England, and you would be put up, and the press officer would brief you, and I'd be like, they'd give you all this information, and I wouldn't listen to any of it because I'd just be like, I'm not completely stupid, and they were so nervous about you putting your foot in it or saying something wrong, and if you're the one that says the wrong thing, it's a headline, isn't it, everywhere? So it's quite, everyone was sort of on edge. I think it's slightly different now. I think it's better now, but I felt like I was okay just chatting, and I don't think I did anything too wrong. But I think if you're that guarded, I think sometimes they create a headline, don't they? Make it worse for yourselves.
Do they have to come and read the headlines to you? Do you turn up at training, for example, and they say, well, right, this story's about you, this story's about you, this story's about you?
The worst one I always felt was before a big game. Like say a derby or a massive game. Like say it's Liverpool Everton on the Saturday, and you're put up for press on the Friday. It was, you just didn't want to be the person to say something that wound up the opposition. If you're saying that they've had a bad season and I don't think they're very good at the back, it just tees you up for like a big headline saying, Crouch says I'm going to smash through past this leaky defence. And you're just setting yourself up for a fall, aren't you? So you're just trying to not get through it, but be as honest as you can without winding up. Because I've been in change rooms myself where it's the only motivation that the other team need, isn't it? It's like your stupid quotes in the paper, and even if they're sort of taken out of context a little bit, like, oh no, why did I say that?
Well, Chris, I'll tell you a good way of doing this is let's set up a little scenario here where, Chris, you are making your England debut. Crouchy, to give you a role that you haven't experienced before, you're going to be asking the tough questions of Chris, and I'm going to be a press officer, right? So, Chris, I'll brief you first, then Crouchy, you pile in some questions. All right, Chris, just listen, do you want us to say anything at all controversial here? So nice things about the manager. Basically, your line is, you're delighted to play for England. It's always been your dream. You've got some family coming. That's it. Don't get drawn on anything else, all right? Okay, off you
fine.
go.
Hang on. Are you wanting me to try and get headlines or not?
No, Chris, as my player, I want you just to give us.
So you
really,
want me
really
to
boring...
go and do an interview for a newspaper, but you want me to the aim of the game is to try and not be in the newspaper.
You've got it.
Exactly right.
You're doing an interview for the newspaper, but we're trying not to be in the newspaper.
Right, Crouch, you start asking him questions. We'll see how he goes.
Okay. So, Chris, you must be delighted with the first call-up.
Well, yeah, no. I think it's obviously great to be playing for England, and this is my first game.
There's 6 English players ahead of you on the goal-scoring charts, and possibly should have been called up ahead of you. I just wondered what you thought on that.
Well, yeah, I think the players that you talk about there, the 6 other players, do deserve to play for England.
Ahead of you?
Well, no, they're obviously playing just. We are one big team here, and one big.
That's good from a press officer's point of view. That is gold, Chris. Go with more of that, please.
Yeah. Oh, this is impossible, isn't it? How? I don't even know what to say. So do you think you've just become really good at bullshit?
No, do you know what I found, right? Was just be totally honest in that situation. And like that question, like that's a hard question. If if someone's doing better than you and you've been called up ahead of them, that's a difficult question, isn't it? You just got to go, well, look, it's out of my hands. Being called up for England is, I'm obviously delighted to be here, and I've got to work hard as hard as I can while I'm here, or whatever, and just I suppose just try and avoid the fact that there's lots of players who score more goals than you. But it is a bit of a minefield with some of the questions that get asked. But a lot of the time, you sort of know what they could be angling for. But I felt like certainly with when I spoke to them, I'd just try and be as honest as you could be.
Do you know what I thought, Chris? As we were going through that charade there, I started off thinking Crouchy would be a really good TV or newspaper reporter. And then as he carried on, I found myself thinking, he'd be an excellent detective.
It's nice to be on the other on the other side.
Have you had experiences where something has been said at a press conference and it's pissed you off?
Yeah, a couple of times. Like your own manager, he'll say something like, yeah, he's not fit yet or something like that. And you'll be going, well, I've been training for a week here. Like, I thought I was in contention for a game here. And he's just ruled me out on Sky Sports News. Little things like that, like finding out the England squad when I didn't get picked. I remember reading and going, England squad's out. Or like when it flashes up like on your phone, and I was thinking, well, I can't be in it then.
No, but that's surely you're meant to get a phone call, aren't you?
I did 5 years sort of pretty steady playing for England. I was in every squad, but there were times that if I missed out on a friendly or something like that, or wasn't fit, that you would find out the squad when everyone else did. But then the other side of it was, someone would wind you up, like an opposing manager would say something about you. Remember, we talked about Arsene Wenger when he called me a basketball player early on when I was at Southampton. I scored a header from a corner, and he was like, it wound me up, but then I sort of enjoyed it because I knew I'd wound him up.
I think that's a big role as well. And I think it's can we group it in with the press officer, the sort of social media admins, basically a funny guy on Twitter or Instagram. Imagine having that on your phone and being pissed and having the power to tweet from an entire football club.
It's dangerous leaving your phone anywhere, but imagine if you were the voice of Man United on a night out.
If you are Man United on Twitter, right? Tweet us in, preferably as Manchester United.
Yeah.
And just say, look, I am Josh from Wickham and I'm Man United. I'm Dave from the Wirral and I'm Liverpool.
Mm.
I'm Emma from Galatasaray.
I'm Bob and I'm Stenhouse Muir.
And does Brendan Rodgers, when he moves clubs, does he insist on bringing the Twitter
social
person
media
with
man?
Him? You can't be a different tone to the manager, can you? So if the manager has come out berating the players and you just gone like, all the boys put in lots of effort, we'll be back stronger next week or whatever it is you tweet, and then the relevant picture. I can't see Mourinho taking kindly to, a misguided tweet which contradicts everything that he may have just gone out and said.
The difficult one is when you've been beaten 5-0 at home.
Yeah.
And you have to find words that don't enrage your club supporters. You can't whinge about it because you are the voice of a football club, but also you have to sort of put your hand up and go, that was quite shit.
Is the press officer in charge of, where you've got to get your videos done for the TV, the beginning of the season in the full kit?
That's a thankless task, that one. I feel sorry for the press officer in that environment, especially these days because, broadcasters are paying so much, they want more content. So I remember turning up and it was amazing. I think my last few seasons, like in the Premier League, and I just got there and he was just like, right, so just a quick robot. I went, excuse me? And I'm doing the walk. And he's talking about doing a robot, and he's like, he wants to do all different ones. So there was loads of there's a bit of Bolt in there. There was a couple of other ones, other players, like a little Anelka vibes and stuff. I think right, they want all this stuff now.
Yeah, imagine Roy Keane doing his little videos. Go, so Roy, can you just bang out a quick river dance?
Can you imagine?
Imagine.
Even the walk, I don't know if the walk would go down too well. The walk and fold the arms.
They'd probably have to get the camera to zoom in on him, wouldn't they? Like, he would stand still. He'd make the camera come to him.
To him.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
I'm enjoying this episode, boys, because I feel it's shining a light on the unsung heroes behind a football club. These are the roles and people that you probably don't see on Match of the Day, but they play an important part. I'm thinking of another role here. So the role of the physio.
A good physio is important. They've got to be quite social. They've got to be the player's friend. But then you got to remember they've got to report to the manager, and it can be quite stressful. Like if imagine going into Jose Mourinho's office, knocking on the door and telling him that his captain, his top goal scorer, is not going to play against Arsenal tomorrow, for instance. It could be in a difficult situation.
But there's different levels of match fitness, surely, as well. There must be an element of a grey area there.
Yeah, I've seen some really difficult conversations in the open. You know, like the manager will come in and go, right, is he fit? And the physio will go, can I speak to you outside? And he'll go, oh. And then the physio will have to go outside with the manager. And a lot of the time he gets bollocked for something that is absolutely out of his control. Imagine how strong the doctor's got to be, right? He's got the player, you know, the manager, all the fans, all these people putting pressure on one man, the doctor, who's saying no. And all he's got is your well-being at heart. But at the time, when you don't play, when you're not playing, it gets heated.
What sort of arguments have you seen?
I've seen some incredible things, Tom, in my time playing football. Plenty of times I've seen it where a player's pulled out of training or pulled out injured. So I played for Southampton, right? We've got Newcastle away on a Tuesday night and I'm not in the team. Okay? So you do the training on Monday and you've got to get a flight to stay over in Newcastle knowing I'm not going to play. Well, I've seen players pull a hamstring on that Monday, you know, and then go home. What can you say to it though? You know, you've got all the players and all the staff, all the management that know what's happening. And then the worst thing is that a lot of the time they'll train back training on the Wednesday. I like the sheer cheek of it.
Have you ever seen a manager in a training ground scenario where a manager is arguing with a player about a difference in opinion on how fit they are?
Once a week, I'd say.
Really? All the time?
Well, I watched Harry tell the physio to not treat players who had gone down.
Like Gareth Bale.
Gareth went down and he told the physio to not treat him. And this was when he was going through a difficult time at Tottenham before the Galactico that he became. He felt that he was going down at times and not maybe as hard as he should be. And Harry's way of sort of coping with that was not letting the physio on to treat him when he went down. I remember a couple of times we'd just play on. You know, a player would be down and we just play on. And I watched another player. He had this cut on his foot. The shorts actually got cut off him. You know, when you've had a car accident, and I was flabbergasted. I thought it was going to be, you know, a double break, and I'm not joking. It was a cut that big, and then the plaster was reapplied for 2 weeks. I said to the physio, I said, "This is. I can't believe that your feeling is the problem. You're applying the plaster." And he's like, well, what can I do? He's asking me to put this plaster on. I know it's bullshit, but I've got to do it.
The thing I find weird, Chris, is like if you're that player, like, I think you and I would struggle to go back into a training ground if we'd done that amount of malingering. Actually, was it Mark Gonzalez when you were at Liverpool?
Yeah, this has gone down in folklore and Liverpool history. It was the same game, unfortunately, that Luis Garcia did his Crouchy. I remember Mark Gonzalez going down. It was incredible, and obviously we thought he broke his leg, gas and air. Stretched it off, leg in a brace, and then obviously Luis Garcia. The same things happen. And I don't know who's is worse, you know, Gonzalez or Garcia. They're both horrendous incidents. Get back in on the Monday morning. Just peeked through from the physio room into the gym and saw Mark Gonzalez doing squats. Mark seems okay. And I'm certain on Saturday there was gas and air going on. Oh, well, I've seen nothing like it. You know, incredible scenes. At least get some ice on it on Monday morning. I mean, even if you're training, right, just ice it up and go, yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought. You know, really painful, but not as bad. But squats 9:30, not for me.
When you're lying on the pitch, right, and the physio's out and you're playing for time, what's the kind of stuff you're chatting with the physio?
Plenty of times it's happened, right? I've done it myself. Not going to sit here and lie to you. I've gone down. Usually I've not dived or anything, but I've gone down under a foul, and a couple of times I've gone right. I'm going to milk this now, so I've stayed down, and the players will come over and go, "You're all right," and when you're out of earshot, you go, "I'm absolutely fine." And then the physio will come over.
I always wonder about this. I always imagine this is what happens.
And the physio will come on and he'll go, "Where is it?" And I'll go, "It's absolutely nowhere." And then he'll pretend to treat it. We'll take as long as possible. We'll walk the wrong way off. They'll tell us to walk the right way off. If you do it correctly, then part and parcel of the game.
You've never had a physio that on medical grounds has turned up and you look up and it's a different physio, a different doctor. It's like, where's normal one? They're off today. And you go, I'm absolutely fine. And they go, we'll get up.
Do you know what? I've been on the bench towards the latter stages of my career. Some of the physios are the worst critics. I remember a couple of times I'm on a bench, right? And I see the doc go, oh, for fuck's sake. How's he missed that?
Yes, because they're one of the only people on the team that doesn't really need to have much football knowledge. But they're in earshot of the manager.
Exactly.
Easy ball. Oh, get him off.
Then you turn around to us and go, can't pass it 10 yards. They go, steady on, Doc. Calm down.
Have you ever seen a doctor get up, when managers are kicking off at each other and then the bench sort of move up in the background?
Posse.
Have you ever seen a doctor sort of square up a little bit as well?
Some of the masseurs and some of the the rehab guys. I mean, the rehab guys and conditioning guys are
big units, aren't they?
Well conditioned. I mean, one of ours was in the Marines. Andy Davis, great lad.
We should shout some of these out. This is the beauty. It's your podcast. You can sort of pay tribute to some of these people.
Well, we had a good backroom team at Stoke, to be fair. Like all the boys there. I'll give them a shout out, actually, because I know they all listen. They're big fans of the pod. So Big Dave, head physio.
I was hoping Big Dave was the masseur.
Yeah.
He used to crack my back lovely, to be fair. I used to wake up, I've got a long back. Big Kiwi fella used to just slam on the back and just crack it. Banco.
What did Banco do?
Banco was like the assistant physio. Obviously, the doc was top man.
Would they ever join a night out? Let's say you'd had a good away win and you're going for a few scoops. Would the medical department ever come along?
Some of the, backroom team I'll still speak to today. Like Nath, he's moved to Fulham now. Doctor at Burnley was fantastic. Got to give him a shout out. He was amazing with me. These people are close to my heart. Like close to, help me do what I did on the pitch and help so many other players as well. So I've forged relationships and friendships with these people more so even than some players. Most players.
Does the kit man have to sort them as well? Are they expected to bring their own pants to a game?
Yeah. Would it need washing? I mean, if you're only jogging on 2 or 3 times a game, would you just say to the kit man, do you know what, to be honest, I can pop these in the bag. They're good for next week.
Premier League level, they won't have to bring their own gear. Their pants will be provided.
Amazing,
wow.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Like, what boot would you choose to wear? Because you can't wear like a CR7.
They do wear boots, don't they?
Yeah, you have to wear a very basic boot.
Why are physios wearing boots?
So because they've got to run on, haven't they? If you're wearing a trainer,
they don't need a boot for that, do they?
They've got to run on the pitch, haven't they? And they've got to be quick. They've got to get on there.
But does this mean that that they train? Do they do like little shuttle runs where they're sprinting on, holding a bag in training, trying to get to a player the player is 20 meters away? Go, go, go.
If you look at physio, they go for it. I mean, they enjoy their moment, I'd say. They've got like a different technique to most of the players on the pitch.
Fans love it.
It's a different quick techers with the bag, isn't it?
It's almost like they want to stay low because when they get to the player, they have to go down on their hands and knees.
They get straight down.
So it's like I'm saving time. I'm not going to stand upright and run. I'm going to save time when I get the player by running in a weird stoop.
Is there something to be said that the other team's physio should treat the players? To stop this time wasting, the other physio goes and treats the other team.
Yeah, one issue with that, though, is what if the other team are winning?
So he walks on.
So
he walks on, and then he gets on, and then he goes, sorry, I forgot my bag.
He time wastes for the other team. Let me go back. I haven't got my gloves on.
I've left the gloves back in the dressing room, sorry.
You get the spray and you just put a lighter in front of it like that on his knee. You got the aerosol flamethrower going into his groin.
Where does it hurt? Just here. Let me press it. Ow!
Yeah, it's a flawed idea. What physio doctors, right? And they're wearing the full clobber. It looks normal because you're watching football, and that's just part of it. But if I was to go to the doctor's surgery and I walked in the room, right, and the doctor that's in there is in a full kit with initials, mate, like, what? Are you real?
I think this should happen more often. I think, your local GP should just go in there and he's got like a raincoat with like GS on it.
And boots.
He just pings it over to the medicine cupboard like that.
Crouchy's done the robot again.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Right, this has been really good. So we found out a lot about press officers and physios. What about another one of the sort of unheralded roles, the people behind the scenes we don't hear so much about that are actually really important? What about assistant managers?
A lot of the time he will be as sort of influential as the manager. You know, if the manager's not in, say that the manager's got stuff to do, like, I don't know, signing a player, or he's making calls, he's got a meeting with the chairman, the assistant manager will then become the manager.
So Harry Redknapp scenario, that would be Kevin Bond, would it?
Kevin Bond. Mark Hughes, for instance. Mark Bowen would be his assistant. And then obviously, like, with England, for instance, obviously, like, Sven had Tord, and Tord was just definitely Sven's man.
Who did Rafa have?
One of the things that I felt that Rafa sort of killed himself with was Paco Estrian, right, was amazing. He just ran the club. He was involved in absolutely everything, and for whatever reason, him and Rafa fell out, and I felt it was a detriment to the detriment of the club, really. Just I felt that he was so good, and everyone liked him. He was brilliant at what he did. We respected him. You know, if he was harsh on us, you would accept it because it came from him. So, you know, he did a lot of those roles. I mean, he fulfilled 2 or 3 of those roles. And I don't know what the falling out was between him and Rafa, but it was a bit of a shame. And Rafa brought another Paco in, believe it or not. I mean, I've not heard of the name Paco ever in my life, but I had two in the space of a month.
It makes it easier. Was his surname the same? Because then they wouldn't have had to change the tracksuit. It's got the same initials.
No, I don't think it was, no. We used to just call him Little Paco.
Sometimes you get the sense, Crouchy, as well, that you get an assistant, and yes, they're a good coach, but particularly if there's a overseas coach, that they're there because they've got a connection with the club as well.
Definitely. But you always need your own men. Let's be honest, like, football is a game of people stab you in the back. You know, be the manager. If you're the manager, if you've got a manager or an assistant manager that's got aspirations to be a manager in his own right, then I think you've got problems. You know, like, say you're an assistant, right? Chris is the gaffer. Tom Fordyce is the assistant, right? And the chairman goes to you. So you've been together at 3 previous clubs: Watford, Sheffield Wednesday. Now you're Manchester United manager in the Champions League. Tom's been your assistant the whole way. And the chairman comes down to you, Tom. Chris is struggling. You know, we've lost 3 games at home in a row now. What do you think if I sign you on a 3-year contract and you take the club forward? What is your decision on that?
The good Tom would be going, I'm not interested in managing Man United if it's doing a Judas on my mate. But there'd be a little voice going, it's Man United. You could be the man. Are you appreciated as an assistant? Have they paid you enough? Do people realise what you've done?
You don't know that I haven't had a word with the chairman to just test your loyalty.
Test it. Oh, he's throwing it back at you.
That I haven't gone, right, offer him my job and see what he does.
See what he's done. That's a good one. That is a good one.
And it wouldn't surprise me if that has happened somewhere.
I think there's probably more assistant managers who've stepped up and failed than assistant managers who've stepped up and, like, think about René Moulenstein, who was apparently really good at Man United. So he goes to Fulham and that goes wrong. Think about a more recent one, Jason Tyndall, Bournemouth. So he's been Eddie Howe's assistant forever. I don't know. I just think if you're an assistant, the temptation would be to just err on the side of safety.
Yeah.
Rather than stick your head above the parapet.
If I got sacked, right, I left, and Fordyce and Stark are joint managers, caretaker joint managers, right? And you go on a 10-game unbeaten streak, right? Am I wanting you to succeed?
No.
Or do I want you to fail a little bit?
No, you want us to fail. But whilst we're here, then we should have the chat. I will swear to you now my loyalty. It's like playing Deal or No Deal, but we're going right to the end of the game.
No deal. We're going to say no deal now.
No deal the whole way through. And if we end up with the good money, fine. If we don't, I'll still be there with you. And we'll walk away with our little boxes in hand.
So you're saying this, Chris, and I believe you, but I just wonder in this situation where your partner is saying to you, we can't afford this. Like, we just bought a new house.
If your missus goes, right, so Ed Woodward said to you, 100 grand a week, 3-year deal, we're sacking Crouch tomorrow. Your missus is going to go, well, hold on a minute. Maybe think about this. She's seen a house in Marlow on the river, and she's gone, we could get this. If you just...
we might do.
It's only one man,
but we might do.
Cut him loose.
We don't know where we'll be at the end of this journey, but I'm saying this right now where everyone can hear it. I'm swearing my loyalty to you for this journey that is ahead of all of us.
I feel like you're saying that because, the journey hasn't started yet.
Yeah, but my point is, Crouchy, at some point, I could well be in a press conference with people going, we've literally got a recording of you swearing your loyalty to... There are rumours linking you with the job.
It was a lovely house in Marlow. You should see it.
Yeah, and I'm in the press conference going, my wife found a house in Marlow.
Good luck to you. It's a lovely house.
Chris, I don't know about you. It feels like, so what have we done? We've done press officer, doctors / physios. We've done assistant managers. It feels like there's still heaps of roles at a club that we've not even touched. It feels like we might be looking at a part deux.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think there's a lot to dig into. There's so many roles. And I think it's interesting hearing your personal experiences of them, because we only ever see the bench. We don't really know the people that are in these roles properly. I think it's a good idea to come revisit again.
And there's so much to talk about. The stuff that goes on, some other roles that we've got. What have we got out there? And we got, like, the other day, I talked about Chelsea, and I remember Eddie Newton was there. He was taking care of the loan players.
What a job that is! That's a job, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's so many roles now. So analysts,
chairman,
chief executives,
head
upstairs
of recruitment,
in the boardroom, head of recruitment.
Right, I think that's decided then, boys. I don't know when we're going to do it, but I think we should definitely revisit this whole club staff episode, because there's just loads more to get stuck into, isn't there?
Yeah, just thinking about this, actually, boys, we've not got through that many messages from listeners in this episode. I know every week we say we will. It just seems to kind of roll over and roll over. I know, Crouchy, you've already seen some amazing messages coming in from people with different experiences of meeting footballers in hotels, right?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, there's one about Wayne Rooney and Elton John, believe it or not.
Wow.
We've got to get into that one. Why don't we, on the next episode, devote it all to our listeners and do a messages special?
Yeah, I like that. It's a good shout, Chris, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good idea. Do you think it's wise to give so much control over to the listeners of this podcast? I think so.
Probably not.
But we're going to do it anyway. There's been some nice messages, haven't there? We've all got these on social media of people enjoying loads as the pubs reopen in England, certainly for the first time.
I've seen some great loads out there. And lots of people are enjoying them, and I'm pleased to see it.
Yeah, one of the nice things about the pubs starting to reopen, lads, is the videos that we're getting from people playing Vanessa Carlton or requesting Vanessa Carlton. There's all these guys sat around, and a lot of pubs, they don't have music playing outside; they're just playing it on their phones. I feel it's sort of becoming this song of the end of lockdown, hopefully. But the main thing is, when you're in the pub, if you can get to a jukebox, if you can request a song, I think play it in the knowledge that anyone else that listens to the podcast will be loving it. And it's not a bad song anyway, is it?
People who know.
They know.
Hi guys, Spray and A's Tom here again with an important question, not just for Peter, but Chris and Tom too. At the age of 12, I won a Specsavers Harry Potter lookalike competition and won a load of Lego prizes and a pair of glasses. What's your shittest achievement?
Great question.
When you go to PGL, we did the PGL, right? We had a dance off, and I got down to the last three, and it was my two pals. They kicked me off third, and I sort of refused to go off. I didn't refuse to. You just get like a tap, and we were all dancing, and everyone was off, and then I got a tap, like as if to go, like, and I pretended I was. No one tapped me, so then I just carried on dancing. I got another tap, and I just pretended it didn't happen again. So we carried on going, and then they went, "Oh, we can't call it. Like, we'll have to." And I was that adamant that I wasn't going to lose this, and they saw it, and they were like, "You got tapped though," and I was like, "Nah, No, I didn't feel anything. And I was sitting there. We were all just drinking our like little can of Panda, and it was so wrong. We were all just sipping, and they knew that I'd cheated, and I knew I'd cheated, but we were all just sitting there having a little bottle of pop, pretending it hadn't happened.
Oh, it's so you.
I'm not proud of it really, but
if you're a parent and you're a competitive parent like yourself, do you demand whenever, say, your kid gets to the final two in something, and then they invariably do the classic, you're both winners, kids' parties and stuff like that. Do you demand that there is a completion to it?
I'm not a fan of that.
No, nor am I.
No, I don't know. Because the thing is, it's like you can't keep people in that environment forever, you know?
That deluded state.
Yeah, because it's not real life, you know? Like if it's two people going for a job, one wins and one loses.
This is where we've ended up with the Premier League, isn't it? The race for fourth. It's fourth. It's not a race for fourth. It's a race for first. You're 3 times not the winner.
It's a good point. Perhaps the Champions League places should be the first of every league.
That was the old rules, Chris, in the European Cup.
It?
Yeah, it was a very pure thing, wasn't it, Pete?
I think the biggest problem is international football. You know, watching us playing San Marino, like, for what reason? Seriously. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I think there should be a qualifier for those kinds of teams that have, you know, they haven't won a game in years. You know, like, seriously, we shouldn't have to play them. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I was playing them, I enjoyed it. That's why I got 22 goals for England. But
are you saying you don't want to play Jamaica and Hungary?
Yeah, of course I do. When I was playing,
was it England or nothing? Was there ever a point in your career where you could have technically qualified for another team via your grandparents or your grandparents' third cousin's pet dog that was born in another country, or however it is that it's figured out? Did you ever flirt with the idea for the sake of international football?
Yeah, but Mark Hughes got in touch when he was Wales manager really early on in my career, and it was I just had none. I didn't have anything.
So he hadn't sniffed out a link. He was just taking a punt.
No, he just said, "Have you got a granddad who's Welsh?"
I'm joking.
It's a great phone call, that, isn't it? A bit short one.
Peter, we really like it. So they had a meeting probably about who would we like. And it's like, I'm sure there's bound to be someone as well.
Welsh. Well,
so how many people has Mark Hughes called then? In that morning when he's ringing round, he's just got this big list of Premier League players just put across. Nope.
Any Welsh?
Nope.
Any Welsh?
Any at all? No, don't worry.
But like, it is a strange one, isn't it?
Crouchy, was it honestly England or nothing?
Yeah, no, genuinely, yeah. Like, I consider myself English, you know, so I don't think I could have played for anyone else, even if I had a Scottish or a Welsh grandfather and I had no chance of playing for England. You know, listen, it's difficult to say, but I'd like to think that no, I wouldn't have played.
Yeah, there's that TV show, isn't there? The one with you know, where they look into your ancestry.
Who do you think you are?
Who do you think you? Yeah,
is this the one where Danny Dyer was related to Henry VIII?
That's amazing.
I think so.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That would be a good one for you to do, Crouchy.
I don't know. It's quite scary, isn't it? I've watched some bad ones as well.
It's seeing what some of your family have got up to before you. Like,
you know,
and it's nothing to do with you, but you sort of feel kind of responsible or linked at that point.
Been some bad ones, isn't there? You know, like, imagine.
Is it better to have a bad one though than just a really boring one where they just go back generation after generation and your family have done absolutely nothing?
Do you think, Crouchy, out of all your ancestors, you're the most successful?
Oh, it's a difficult one. I think
it'd be great to find out.
Yeah, I think it was certainly my dad's sort of like that side are all publicans. I think they own pubs in London. I'd love to know where that goes. My mum's side were butchers, you know. So it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, if you make Who Do You Think You Are and you want to make a program about people who run pubs and butchers, give us a shout. Crouchy's your man.
I think there's something a bit funky on both those sides. You know what I mean? There's going to be something in the butchers. You know, it's something we're going to find out there. I feel, mate. Not with your mum, no offense, but I mean, like, you know, wider family, and you're definitely with the pubs. You know, there'll be something there.
You always have to make a sort of comment afterwards as if it makes sense, don't you? So, Crouchy, you'd have to say something like, "Do you know what? I have always enjoyed sausages."
Imagine that. I wondered why I love lamb chops.
Crouch going for the spectacular.
That Peter Crouch Podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Right, boys, as you know, we've got this part of the podcast where we speak to people who want to promote their podcast or TV show or whatever it is they're trying to sell. And this time it's the turn of my good friend Stefan Powell. Hello, Stefan.
How's it going, mate? You all right?
Now, boys, Stefan does a gaming podcast called Press X to Continue. And Crouchy, I know you'll like Stefan because he's got very similar headphones to you.
I thought it was a bit unfair you were having such a hard time about your headphones, to be honest, Crouchy. You know when you put on an old pair of slippers and they're really comfortable? That's exactly what I'm going for when I'm putting on a set of headphones. And
but they're gaming headphones, aren't they, Stefan?
Yeah, these are a bit jazzy, these are. They can, they're all, Bluetooth and all that jazz.
Talk to us about the podcast then. So I've been on this podcast. And I basically use it to get gaming advice for me because Stefan knows his stuff and there's enough people that you've had on it that can kind of give proper guidance in how to become masters at a lot of these games.
Basically, we just love playing video games, and millions of people across the UK play games all the time. Well, wouldn't it be nice to talk about the ones we love and why we love playing them? But also we talk about the ones that are a bit shit, because games, they cost a bit, and also they take time. You don't want to be putting hours into something that you think's a bit rubbish.
Stefan, what's your game of choice?
So the thing I'm playing loads in lockdown was amazing. And we've had so many people on the podcast talk about it. Delhi's come on the podcast and he was talking about it. He's playing it loads. We had the lads from the England cricket team. They've been on the podcast, Stokes and Stuart Broad and Joffre Archer. They're obsessed with it as well. It's this game that's called, you might have seen them put it on their Instagram. It's called Warzone. And it's a new version of Call of Duty, basically.
I was a big fan of Call of Duty, probably 6 years ago, maybe. And I came home and Ab was trying to ring the bell, didn't have a key, and I had a pair of these on, and I was shooting people and stuff, and I was in this big game, and obviously I was in a blacked out room, so I had no idea. The phone was ringing; it was over there. She was locked out for an hour and a half while I was shooting teenagers, and I was 30 at the time.
The average age of a gamer, people think it's going to be like someone in there, like, when you're a teenager, but it's actually 40.
40?
Yeah, it's much older than when people think. And we got Jason Manford on the podcast, and he was saying he wishes there was a FIFA level that was called Dad FIFA. Yeah. So that when you played online, you didn't get spanked 10-0 by a teenager.
I think this is the best idea ever. Like the dad mode of Call of Duty would be unreal. Like trying to get your gun out for ages and go like, oh, you got and then you do that thing where you zoom in for no reason, and then you get your gun back out again and throw a grenade for no reason.
Oh, sorry, man. I've just left the oven on. Give me 2 seconds. I'll be back now. Yeah, dad version, because we all grew up playing games. Like we talked when Chris was on. We talked about the classics on the 90s, like Streets of Rage,
yeah,
or Street Fighter, or the early versions of FIFA.
Golden.
What a classic!
Who are the best footballers then, Stefan? The best professional footballers you've seen? Because as you say, a lot of footballers are into gaming.
Yeah.
Who are the ones who've impressed you the most?
Well, I tell you what, Dele Alli is amazing. And I'm not just saying that because he's been on the pod. He's even got he's hooked up with an esports team. He was telling us that Kyle Walker-Peters is amazing. And so to keep an eye out for Kyle Walker-Peters when it comes to footballers.
Sterling's really good. We ended up playing FIFA against Sterling. He seemed insane, like he was playing the game as if he was controlling himself. Well, he was controlling himself, ironically, but it was just like
Does that make it easier?
Frustrating that he's good at that as well.
With England, they used to play. What was that game? Because Rio used to play. All the boys used to play it.
SOCOM, that was it. Yeah. It's like a military shooting game, isn't it?
Yeah. So like, I'd be on the bus, and a load of them would be playing it. And it was on the handheld thing. I don't know what they were playing. But they all had these, earpieces in. And they're all like, going, get down. We're on the bus with England, right? Going to training. And all I'm hearing is, get down, cover me. I'm going in, cover me. And all this, tactical talk. We've got Spain in a couple of days.
That's what Iniesta was doing as well, mate.
Yeah, I'm sure he was.
Oh, Stefan, it's so good getting you on the pod. One more time, do you want to just tell people where they can find the podcast and the name of it and all of that?
Yeah, I would love to. So if you're after celebrity interviews, game reviews and news, then check out press X to continue. It's available only on BBC Sounds.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.